Comenzamos el bloque informativo en Extra News.
I want to move on to the big, beautiful bill, and you have asked to have this on your desk by July 4th. You think you're going to get it in that timing?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you that. I hate to say yes. I'd like to say yes, but the problem is if we're 2 days late or 5 days late, everybody says, oh, you had a tremendous failure. Whatever it is, as long as we have it. It's very important. If we don't have it, there's a 68% tax increase. If we don't have it, the debt ceiling extension is very important. They gave a debt ceiling, the Republicans gave a debt ceiling because of the importance of doing it. They did that for the good of the country, and Republicans voted for that. They did a big favor. I don't know that I would have done it, to be honest with you, but whatever. They did a favor. Now the Democrats won't do that favor back. In other words, you never want to violate your debt covenants. So they gave, you know what I'm saying, they gave this 4 months early. It was due on September 28th, right before the election. A group of Republicans got together and said, you know what, this is so serious. We should do this for the good of the country. I understand that. Now it's their turn to do it, and they won't do it. There are a lot of bad people in the Democrat Party.
How are you going to deal with the $9 trillion that's coming due this year?
Just turn it over. Oh, well, let me tell you that we're going to do it this way. We're going to turn it over short term because we have a stupid person at the Fed. If he would lower the rates, but I don't want to have to pay for 10 years debt at a higher rate. And then when you get somebody into the Fed who's going to be able to lower the rates, we should be at 1% or 2%. If you look at Switzerland, they're the lowest right now. They're at much less than 1 point. And frankly, we should be there too, because without the United States, the whole world doesn't work.
And you teased a couple of names. You said you have a couple of people in mind
I have
as
three.
a successor to Jay Powell.
They'll all be good, yeah.
But you're not going to do that right now. So why do that? Just to put more pressure on him to come in?
People know because reporters ask me, you have other names? I say, yeah, I do. Anybody but Powell.
And would it be Kevin?
He's a bad person.
Yeah.
Kevin is very talented, but I don't know if it's going to be him, but he's a very talented guy. He wouldn't be doing what Powell is.
Mr. President, I think I know your priorities in the big, beautiful bill. I mean, obviously, you want to get the tax cuts extended, and you've got other tax cuts.
Any other things, though, takes care of the border. There's also no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime.
But I've spoken to a few senators, and they've gotten together, like Rick Scott and Ron Johnson and Mike Lee. And, Rick Scott's worried about the overall cost, and Mike Lee is worried about the Inflation Reduction Act. And,
the Inflation Reduction Act is what caused a lot of problems.
So why don't you just take that out?
It was the Biden administration.
Why are there still green subsidies in that?
I'm all for that. I think we shouldn't be giving money to all of these scams. But what happened is some of them have been started, like projects. And if you stop it, it's in the middle. So I understand that, too. And people work there, and they're, working there, and they're from the district of a congressman or a senator. But no. The Inflation Reduction Act was another Biden scam. And when I say Biden, it's not Biden. It was the lunatics that work around the, in the Oval Office, around the beautiful Resolute desk. It's not Biden, because I don't think Biden knew what was happening. I think that the auto pen is one of the biggest scandals in the history of this country, because the person that operated the auto pen was the president of the United States. And I think that that's going to be sought out, and we're going to find out what happened.
Well, I believe it's this week, that's 1 year ago, which was the debate where his mental capacity was exposed to so many people who didn't know it. Many of us saw it, obviously, in advance. And now James Comer at the Oversight Committee wants lots of people to come in. Who would you like to see come in and testify on that? Under oath.
I would say Lisa, who was in there.
Is that the deputy AG at the time?
Yeah,
Lisa Monaco.
He was a big supporter of Andrew Weissman. These are people that I think are very bad people. They had radical left lunatics working there, and they took over that office. They didn't want Biden, and then after a little while, they realized he's incompetent. This is really a good thing, and they ran that thing. Look, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was never for transgender for everybody. He was never for men playing in women's sports. He was never for that. Biden is a disaster. This is a disaster. But the worst thing that he's done to us, inflation is terrible, but I've solved that problem already. inflation is bad and other things are bad and many things are, and the fact that we have no respect all around the world for the country, but now we do I think maybe at the high, we took it from the lowest to the highest level in 6 months. But if you look at what he did to the border is so bad. So much of my time is spent on the border. You know, last month we had no people coming.
I know.
But the bad part is he let in 21 million people. And we have to check those people. Totally unvetted, totally unchecked. And 11,888 have murdered people. Half of them have murdered more than one person. People come in from gangs, from prisons. They emptied out Venezuela, emptied out its prisons.
Are you backing away from this, though? Because recently you said, let's ease up on, taking in people who are working, hardworking, like in farms and hotels.
I don't back away. What I do have, I cherish our farmers. And when we go into a farm and we take away people that have been working there for 15 and 20 years who are good, who possibly came in incorrectly, and what we're going to do is we're going to do something for farmers where we can let the farmer sort of be in charge. The farmer knows he's not going to hire a murderer. But, when you go into a farm and he's had somebody working with him for 9 years doing this kind of work, which is hard work to do, and a lot of people aren't going to do it, and you end up destroying a farmer because you took all the people away, it's a problem. I'm on both sides of the thing. I'm the strongest immigration guy that there's ever been, but I'm also the strongest farmer guy that there's ever been. And that includes also hotels and, places where people work, a certain group of people work. So we're working on it right now. We're going to work it so that some kind of a temporary pass where people pay taxes, where the farmer can have a little control as opposed to you walk in and take everybody away. But no, the criminals are going out of this country.
Right. You said it from the beginning. You wanted to first focus on the criminals. But I'm wondering if this change in giving people a pass is a response to the critics who said the execution was a little clumsy. People were afraid to go to work. They were afraid to run into ICE. They said, look, if you give a quota to somebody and say, go get me 600 people who are here in the country illegally, they'll come back with 600 people, even if it's not the right 600.
So the execution was unbelievable because you have no people coming through our border anymore. Right. That's part of the execution. So it wasn't clumsy. What was clumsy is the fact that they allowed millions and millions of people to pour into our country. Take a look at some of the scenes. It's on your show all the time, where thousands of people are trying to bust through a wall. They literally break down walls. There's so many people. And they're thousands of people, and they have no idea who those people are. This, to me, is the worst part of Biden. The worst thing he did was the whole thing on immigration. Now, with that being said, we know who they are, a lot of them. It's hard when they come in. They have no papers. They have no nothing. Just go ahead in. Everybody can come in. They were emptied. I'm telling you, a lot of the Congo, we just made a deal with the Congo to stop the war. They would empty their prisons into the United States. Many other countries, not just South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, rough parts of Europe, their prisons were emptied into the United States, and the people, you saw the people, they run into the country. To me, that's a sin that we can never forget. We can never forget what Biden and that group of lunatics that work for him have done to our country.
I believe that half of the world's cobalt is in the Congo.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to help develop that? Will the U.S. participate in developing that cobalt?
Yeah, they want me to. They actually want me to. The head, who's a very respected guy, look, I just stopped the war. This war was going on for 30 years. 6 million people were killed between Congo and Rwanda.
Muy pronto, vuelve a escuchar las noticias más relevantes en este canal de noticias.